So let's jump into it. We got a lot to talk about for today's show. Let's start with the first topic, which is in fact tonight's game in in São Paulo, Brazil, which is that's out of order, but we'll get to it. It's the Chargers and Chiefs. So Chargers last season in the playoffs, 4 interceptions. Justin Herbert against the Houston Texans looked terrible. Chiefs made the Super Bowl, lost in abysmal fashion to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I basically want to know, what team do you think will come out on top to start the year for both these teams? It's a divisional rivalry, massive rivalry. Justin Herbert, I believe, has still yet to beat Patrick Mahomes. This one's on a neutral field. Chiefs are favored by 3. The game's in about an hour or so. I want to know, based on your perspective, what team do you think will come out on top?
I think the Chiefs will beat the Chargers 30-24 and cover. The game is in Brazil. It's a neutral field. I think the preseason shows the Chiefs have figured out their offensive line issues. They lost Joe Thuney, which I thought was big, but they brought in this rookie who seems to be fantastic. That gives Patrick Mahomes more time to throw, and that's bad for the Chargers defense. The Chargers lost Rashawn Slater for the season after he signed a $114 million contract. I'm sure they're not too happy about that. Mahomes plays well in game one historically. He's got 21 TDs and two interceptions in a game opener. So he's going to be on tonight. The Chargers' run game is going to be a lot better, I think, with Najee Harris, but I don't think it's good enough to beat the Chiefs.
Well, I'll say this right now. I do not believe in Najee Harris at all. I think Omarion Hampton is the right way to go. I think what we saw with Najee Harris against when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers was simply that he was good, but not good enough. That's why they let go of him. I think we were actually a little bit surprised. 1,000-yard rusher. You thought they should have ran the ball more, the Steelers should, even though they were a top 5 rush attempt team in the NFL. I think that the reason why you get off a 1,000-yard rusher is you think he's ineffective. And I've talked about this before. I've even brought a graphic up before on the show several times. Greg Roman as the OC of the Chargers. What is he going to do offensively? You get Omarion Hampton, and basically you're saying, I want to run the football. That's Greg Roman's thing. You're a bottom 5 offense if you don't run the ball for 100 yards or more. I wish I had the graphic, readily accessible to me, but basically every single time, besides with Lamar Jackson, even with the great offenses led by Colin Kaepernick, if you did not run the ball for 100 yards or more, you did not win football games. In fact, over the course of Greg Roman's career as offensive coordinator, teams won about 31% of their games if you don't rush for 100 yards or more. I think if you look at the Chargers last year, they were good, but you could look at some of the wins, and it was like, they're not going up against great competition. We look back to the Falcons game. The only reason they lost that game was because Kirk Cousins kept throwing the ball to him. If he didn't have, 4 interceptions in that game, we could be looking at maybe a different perspective of this Chargers team. But because Herbert only had 4 interceptions in the regular season and had, a little bit above 20 touchdowns, and we're like, oh, he's an effective quarterback. My opinion on the whole situation is he was playing within a system that doesn't fit him. He has an incredible arm, incredible accuracy. He has a decent amount of mobility, but he's known for his strong arm. If you can't utilize that at an effective level, Justin Herbert's going to be wilting away with an offense that doesn't suit him. Ravens fans wanted to get Greg Roman out of there because if, for instance, the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, you can't run against them. I know that was Todd Monken's offensive coordinator, but he was still building that offensive scheme. Lamar Jackson's passing game was so underdeveloped because he had a offensive coordinator that was run-focused, run-heavy. That's why when he was the OC for the Ravens, they were like a top 2, top 1 rushing team every single year Lamar was the starter. His passing game was so underdeveloped, and then you get Todd Monken out there, and all of a sudden now we're seeing 4,000-yard passing along with nearly 1,000 yards rushing, able to utilize Lamar more. Because Herbert doesn't have the mobility of a Lamar Jackson, his passing game is going to suffer massively. I think having Greg Roman out there as the OC is a massive mistake for the Chargers because if you have Najee Harris as your starting running back, and he just came back from an injury, so who knows if he'll be even 100%, Omarion Hampton needs to be the X factor for this offense. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing a very ugly game for the Chargers. And add on top of the fact, the Chiefs' defense is pretty good against the run normally. So I think it's going to be just a bad matchup for the Chargers. I got the Chiefs easily in this game, probably winning by about, I say a 10-point victory for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I really think so.
I think one thing the Chargers did, very smart move by them bringing back Keenan Allen.
Yeah, you needed depth.
Their passing game really had McConkey and no one else. Quentin Johnson, a first-round pick, he can't catch the ball. He can't hang on to it. You can't rely on him. I think bringing Allen back, a veteran wide receiver who's been with the Chargers for many years, and went to the Bears for a year and now back, I think that was a very smart move, and I think that will help Justin Herbert a lot.
I completely agree. All right, so let's. Do you have a score prediction real quick before we go to our next topic?
30-24.
30-24. I'll go 30-20. I do think it'll be a 10-point victory here. All right, let's get into our next topic here, and hopefully we'll have it up accurately. Let's just make sure. We'll skip that. Here we go. Let's go to the Jalen Hurts topic. So Jalen Hurts, in his Week 1 start against the Dallas Cowboys, another rivalry game between the two NFC East opponents, Jalen Hurts scored 2 rushing touchdowns in the 24-20 win over the Dallas Cowboys. The defense did not look like the number 1 defense that it was last year, which is a little bit surprising in my opinion. But I want to basically know from you, how impressive do you think Philly's win was over the Dallas Cowboys?
I think it was both impressive and not impressive. And I think it was impressive for this reason. Before the game even started, Jalen Carter got kicked out of the game for spitting on Dak Prescott. And he may suffer for that, boy. He may be out for a while. They may suspend him for multiple games for doing something so stupid as that. I think that shocked the Eagles. I mean, they rely on Jalen Carter. He's their best lineman. He's their best, puts the most pressure on the passer. And have him suddenly not be in the game, I think that rocked the defense, and it took them a while to stabilize, and you can't fully recover without him out there. He really let his team down by doing that. So that's the big downside for me. But the upside is that they survived. They managed to win the game, but they got some help. I think the weather, God gave them some help last night with this thunderstorm. Lightning storm. All the players left the field, leaving the fans out there to worry that they might get hit by a bolt of lightning. They all went inside. They were in there for, almost an hour, right? By the time they came, and at that point in time, Dallas was driving down the field. And at that point in time, both teams were offensive juggernauts. They were going up and down the field, scoring touchdowns. The Eagles scoring on all 3 of their drives in the first half. And you know, it was a great game to watch. It was fun to watch that game. When the lightning warning came and they stopped the game, the Cowboys were driving, right? They were driving. They were down by 4. They were driving for maybe a touchdown, a field goal, who knows? But they had momentum. They would. Oh, please let me finish.
Yeah.
They had momentum. If they'd scored there, you know, I think it could have been a very different game, because when both teams finally came back out, they didn't want to play.
Well,
I mean, there weren't any scores. There weren't any scores after that. The Eagles wound up winning 24-20.
I'll say Miles Sanders did fumble, and they lost the ball right before the lightning struck. So it was Eagles' ball when they came back. I was impressed. I was impressed in the sense of some of the rookies, some of the young guys played relatively well. Like, for instance, Jihad Campbell, who I go into the Buccaneers in my mock draft because I thought he was a phenomenal linebacker. And I praised him on my mock draft about his coverage, and we saw it in this game. We saw Jihad Campbell come up with some incredible pass breakups, and I thought he played incredible. PFF graded him the highest rated coverage player out of every single Eagles player. But speaking about coverage, Adoree Jackson was absolutely pitiful in this game. Every time you saw a wide open Cowboys player, normally it was CeeDee Lamb. If you look at the replay and see who was in coverage, it was Adoree Jackson. He got cooked everywhere. Every single time you see a wide open Cowboys player, Adoree Jackson was the person in coverage. He had a 33.6 coverage grade. He allowed Dak Prescott against him to have if I get this up right now, he had a 113 passer rating while targeted. That's horrible. Absolutely, but he allowed 103 yards. He got targeted 7 times. He allowed 5 catches, 103 yards. I mean, it was really, really bad. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. I thought Jalen Hurts was spectacular. From 2022 to, I believe, 2024, Jalen Hurts had 2 rushing touchdowns on scrambles throughout that entire time period. From 2023 or maybe 2022 to 2024. Scrambling touchdowns, he had 2 of them. This game, he had 2 in just this game. So I don't know if this is a new thing for Jalen Hurts to actually scramble instead of just worried about the tush push. I wish I had him on my fantasy team this year. I had him last year and he won me the championship. But, I mean, if he adds this to his game, I mean, Lamar Jackson has this. Kyler Murray, when he decides to run, he has this. Josh Allen has this to his game. Most of the time we see Jalen Hurts, it's a design quarterback draw or it's the tush push. So I thought Jalen Hurts played phenomenal in this one. I thought Saquon Barkley, while he didn't have the tremendous impact, he still made a bunch of players miss. I thought his ferociousness, his physicality on the field was impressive. Where I'm not impressed was the lack of discipline. Penalty after penalty after bad defensive pass interference calls, just stupid plays. And also, you talk about God gave the Eagles maybe this win. During that last drive, be like, CeeDee Lamb, we'll talk about Dak Prescott and all this. CeeDee Lamb with the 4 drops. On that drive, didn't the Eagles have like 3 opportunities to pick off Dak Prescott, one of which was in the arms of the defender? I mean, I think that the Cowboys, they got a little bit lucky in their own terms where nobody could catch the ball. There was one that was actually broken up by Adoree Jackson that fell through the arms of a defensive lineman. I think Dak Prescott could have easily had 4 or 5 interceptions in this game if the Eagles could just hold on to the football. But besides that, I was actually relatively impressed with the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought their defense was shockingly shaky, but I think that with this offense, without relying on their top 2 receivers of A.J. Brown, who got 1 target with like 4 minutes left in the game, maybe even less, on a simple out route, and then Devontae Smith, who had a little bit of impact here and there, but mainly focusing on the running game, and also Dallas Goedert, who was in massive trade discussions in the offseason, getting him, getting the ball early and often. I thought this was a relatively nice victory for the Philadelphia Eagles because they were able to win against a team that looked very hot in the first half without utilizing some of their best players on offense.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think the Philadelphia Eagles found a way to win the game. I think they were surprised at how good the Cowboys came out. The Cowboys looked really good. They had the lead there twice in the first half. And I do think that the defense was rocked by the Jalen Carter thing, and that took them a while to recover, and that had an impact on the way the Cowboys played. But in the end, I think that rain delay, that lightning strike delay, I think that I think that affected both teams, actually. There weren't any scores after that.
Well, I'll say this. I thought the Eagles made much better adjustments on defense in the second half. They were able to stop Dak Prescott a little bit more. And again, we'll talk about the Cowboys in a second here, but I thought the Eagles just on defense made a slight few more adjustments. I thought both offenses stalled. And I think that's just because the teams were able to make those adjustments defensively rather. I mean, Dak Prescott again, you say Eagles got lucky. I'm saying the Cowboys got lucky just because the Eagles defenders just couldn't hold on to the football. I mean, there were opportunities going through the hands or diving for one that goes through your arms or pass breakups that float in the air. And there's, 3 or 4 Eagles defenders that just are that close to being able to get to the ball to try to pick it off.
Well, the Eagles secondary is somewhat suspect this year with both safeties leaving and new players in there. So that's something that was commented on by a number of analysts.
Well, I thought the loss of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, leaving, and then
Adoree
Jackson coming in.
Slay.
Yeah, I thought Adoree Jackson coming in, that was a weird one. I have Giants friends who wanted them to re-sign Adoree Jackson after this game. I'm sure he's going to keep his mouth shut about, we wanted Adoree Jackson, because he looked terrible. Like, he was shocking.
Darius Slay was lost, too.
I agree with that, but I get it. I think Cooper DeJean, maybe it's stylistically, I think he should play out wide. I mean, he was very dominant throughout the season last year, and especially against the Chiefs. He had a pick six. He's a slot corner, correct. But I think at some point, put him out wide. He played a couple out wide, the cornerback snaps, but he played primarily in the slot. I would start shifting him if Adoree Jackson keeps getting burnt, because if he keeps having games like this, wide receiver 2s and 3s are going to be cooking all day against this Eagles secondary. So I'm just saying, maybe
I think
want to realize
getting Jalen Carter back in there will put more pressure on the quarterback, will help out the secondary a lot.
I think that was a massive loss. I mean, you know what, let's jump to the Cowboys now, because I do want to talk about that. Because the Dallas Cowboys, you had the Eagles blowing them out of the water. What was your score? I forget your score. Was it 34-21 or something like that?
34-20.
34-20. You had a 14-point victory. I had a 8-point victory. I had 31-23, I think, or 31-24, which that would be 7 points. The Cowboys played surprisingly well, going up and down the field in the first half. Dak Prescott really couldn't miss it all offensively throwing the football. And here's the shock to me. And I actually want to start this off, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Javonte Williams, who I bashed before when I talked about the standings predictions for the AFC and I was talking about the Denver Broncos. Javonte Williams having a tremendous game. He had 2 rushing touchdowns and really couldn't be stopped in the first half. I was utterly surprised. But I do think it comes with a slight, context clue of Jalen Carter, the defensive anchor for the Eagles defensive line. He decided to spit on Dak Prescott one play into the game, didn't even have a defensive snap. Well, I'm talking about the kickoff counts a play. But if you say a true defensive play, Jalen Carter played 0 snaps. I thought that was just pure stupidity. Again, there was an angle of Dak Prescott spitting, but it was like a 10 feet distance, and Dak Prescott spit down. Jalen Carter spit at him. I thought that was just utter stupidity and lack of awareness, lack of situational awareness for the game. So I think that the Cowboys got off to a little bit of a slight advantage, not, the Eagles losing their best defensive piece on their defensive interior. I thought Dak Prescott through the first half played very well. I thought the offense played surprisingly well, and the defense, both defenses really couldn't do anything against the opposing offenses in that first half. I think that the Cowboys, to open up that, when they came back from the lightning strike, the Cowboys defense really could get to Jalen Hurts a little bit more. They were able to get 1 sack on him. They were able to force a punt. They were able to do a little bit more in the second half. And people are complaining about the CeeDee Lamb drive. If we realize, if you keep targeting CeeDee Lamb, and especially because, the weather wasn't great. I mean, there was a lightning potential strike. There wasn't really any much rain, I don't think. They were expecting rain. Nothing came. There wasn't much if there was. People complained about the CeeDee Lamb 4 drops. He was really the only guy Dak Prescott was targeting, and that's because Adoree Jackson couldn't really do anything up against him. So I think that really comes with the territory, and I think in that drive, Dak Prescott nearly having basically 2 interceptions, and throughout the game, I think he could have had 4 or 5 interceptions in the game. We could talk about the 4 drops, but we still have to realize the Cowboys still have to go for the touchdown. Yeah, that catch, that Dak Prescott, beautiful thrown ball, absolutely gorgeous thrown ball. If CeeDee Lamb did bring that down, they would still need to go out and score a touchdown, which I think the Eagles may have stopped potentially, or at least forced them to make potential mistakes, because Dak Prescott on that drive, he threw it right in the arms of a defender that he just dropped. So I think the Cowboys got off a little bit light in this game. Dak Prescott, yeah, he had no touchdowns, but the big one for me is he had no interceptions. There were many opportunities that Dak Prescott, the ball could have gotten picked off, whether it was pass breakups or going through the arms of a defender, or a pass breakup then going through the arms of a defensive lineman. I think the Cowboys played well for the type of game it was. I think that based on what I saw, Dak Prescott's mistakes are still there, because last year he didn't play half the year. He had 11 touchdowns, 8 picks. The danger side of Dak Prescott is still very much there. I just think that the Eagles, maybe it was because of jitters or whatnot, they could not get any of Dak Prescott's poorly thrown balls or get the pass breakups, and it was lofting in the air. They either couldn't reach it or it went through their arms. I think Dak Prescott got off light here. For a grade, I give the Cowboys a B+. I thought they played very, very well for the type of game it was. I still don't expect them to be a great team. They shocked me, but I think that we're going to see some defensive liabilities coming up soon, and I think that Dak Prescott's mistakes will get highlighted if defenders can catch balls that were thrown right to them. So a B+ for me.
I think the Cowboys are a better team than we gave them credit for, and leading up to the season here and our analysis of where teams would fall in the standings. In the Eastern Division, we have them. I think you have them last, and I have them next.
I do.
I have them next to last. So, they obviously played against a Super Bowl winner, right? That's probably the best team, maybe the best team in the NFL, and they lost 24-20. So they gave them a good game. I mean, that's probably maybe the toughest game they're going to play all season. So maybe we're underestimating them. Maybe they could be better. I give them a B+ too. I think that they were very competitive. I'd give Schottenheimer a lot of credit.
I would as well.
It seemed like the team was very up. They seemed like they were really focused, and they were going for it. One thing I was curious about, what'd you think of George Pickens?
I think
he didn't really do much, right?
He had some impact, and I could see if you focus on him a little bit more, I think he could have a big one, especially deep. I believe he had one really good deep ball that he caught.
There was a deep ball that he was interfered on.
Right. I think that his impact will be shown over the course of the season. Again, sample size wasn't that much. I'd say he's doing okay for right now. If he gets into his pouting mood and he doesn't put effort in the run blocking, which I don't think he does really at all, I think that people are going to be highlighting it more, and I think we'll see some in locker room stuff where he's not exactly happy.
Yeah, well, maybe the offense should be trying to get the ball to him a little more often. I look at CeeDee Lamb; he had all the balls thrown to him. He dropped 4 of them. Maybe they should have tried to throw it to Pickens a little bit more.
Well, I believe
give him a few more opportunities.
Well, I would say they gave him plenty of opportunities. He was, if I'm not mistaken, the second highest targeted wide receiver. Ferguson was the second highest targeted player, but wide receiver wise, George Pickens had 4 targets, 3 catches for 30 yards. I thought he did fine. Again, the behavioral issues that we saw in the Steelers, I want to see if they carry over to Dallas, because that's why I thought the Steelers got off of an issue, although DK Metcalf still has his own on-the-field issues where he gets pouty and upset. I'm wondering that if George Pickens' behavior becomes an issue on the field, if they run it too much or target CeeDee Lamb too much or don't get him enough targets that he thinks is appropriate for his level of play, I want to see if that translates when he's on the Dallas Cowboys. I thought he played fine for right now, though, to be honest with you.
Okay.
All right, let's jump into your season awards. Show's flying by already. We'll go to break after the season awards. But you decide to do your season awards. So MVP, Defensive and Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Coach of the Year. So we'll begin with your most valuable player. Take it away.
Okay, so I think the competition for most valuable player is Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow.
Okay.
And I think that Joe Burrow is going to win it this year. I think that because I think they've learned their lesson about starting slow. They had him playing in the first preseason game this year, and I think that will bode well for the team. I think they're going to. I'm picking them to win on Sunday. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think they'll go deep into the playoffs. I think signing Trey Hendrickson was. They had to do that. I mean, the defense is probably not going to be great anyway, but with Hendrickson, at least he'll be a little better. And they signed all the weapons that Joe Burrow wanted. They brought back everybody he asked for. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on big deals. Jamar Chase, maybe the best receiver in the NFL. And Joe Burrow, a surgeon when he's on. And late in the season last year, he was just unbelievable. I watched some of the games, and I just thought his accuracy and his ability to find the open receiver, get them the ball, and even with the space, very little space, he was putting it right in there. I like him as my MVP. Offensive player of the year, I think it's Barkley, Chase, maybe Jamar Gibbs, and Derrick Henry. And this year, I've put Derrick Henry to win the offensive player of the year. He had a fantastic year last year, and he would have won it, offensive player of the year if Barkley hadn't had the year that he had. Now, that isn't going to happen again. I don't see Barkley having a year like he had last year again so soon. I mean, he's got a lot of miles on him now after that season. All the use he had in the playoffs, 440 yards rushing in the playoffs too. Maybe the season was over. Derrick Henry, premier running back. Still, even though he's over 30, he's still got a lot of gas in the tank. I think that in the Ravens offense, which is one of the best in the league, and with the decoy of Jackson, in that handoff, whether Jackson takes it or he gives it to Derrick Henry, I think that's going to be a winning play for them. And I see Derrick Henry, having a great year and being offensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year. So I say the competition there, J.J. Watt, Willie Anderson. T.J. Watt, sorry. T.J. Watt, Anderson from the Texans, Myles Garrett, and Micah Parsons. I got to pick Micah Parsons. I mean, he's the highest paid defensive player in history, highest paid non-quarterback in history, $47 million a year. He's got to bring it, man. You got to bring it. You got to show that you're worth that money. And it's going to be tough because he's starting out here. He's going to have a shot to be able to play on Sunday because he's got an injury. He didn't play any in the preseason. The Packers signed him more for the long term, I think, but they're going to be looking for a lot of production out of him. He's going to be their best player on defense by far. The Packers have a good team. They should make the playoffs and maybe go deep into the playoffs. And it will be Parsons' opportunity to show that he's a better playoff football player than he's shown so far. I just think that the stars are lined up for Micah Parsons to be the defensive player of the year. Okay, the offensive rookie of the year. So I think the candidates there would be Cam Ward, who was the first round pick in the draft, Travis Hunter, and Teotihuacan McMillan, who was a receiver that went to the Panthers, and also Ashton Genty for who went to the Raiders, right? So I'm thinking it's going to be Genty, and I think that he's going to have a big game on Sunday against the Patriots. Have a lot of new players on defense. It's going to take them a while to gel. The guy is like a bowling ball. I mean, he's built like a fire hydrant. He's not too tall, but he's very rugged, and he's fast and elusive. I think he could have a great year for the Raiders this year. Pete Carroll, as their coach, has coached some great running backs and beast mode, right? He had him, Marshawn Lynch, and now he's got Genty and, Geno Smith back there too. I think the two of them are going to make some noise, and I think Genty will be the one that winds up winning it. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think it's the competition there. It's all, to me, sort of linebackers, edge rushers. Jalen Walker for the Falcons, Jihad Campbell for the Eagles, and Abdul Carter for the Giants. I like Abdul Carter. He was the first defensive player picked in the draft this year by the Giants, and playing in a very good defense. You can't focus on any one guy. They have a lot of guys who can bring it, put pressure on the quarterback, and he'll benefit from that. Interestingly, he's not starting right now, but I think that will be short-lived, and he'll be in there starting. And I think he'll be the defensive rookie of the year. My coach of the year, and this one's a little bit of a guess in a way, and it depends on the quarterback. I got Sean McVay of the Rams. It all depends on whether Matthew Stafford can stay healthy. And right now it looks like he's off to a poor start. He didn't play any in the preseason. He has a problem with his back, one of his discs. So, that can be a very painful injury. So he's got to be out there. He's got to be able to play well for the Rams to maybe win the division. I don't have them winning it, but Sean McVay is going to be the coach of the year. They probably need to win the division and get deep into the playoffs. And for that, they're going to have a healthy Matthew Stafford. But I like Sean McVay's play calling. I like his strategy. I like his in-game decisions. I think he's one of the best, and I think this will be his year.
I don't hate any of your picks.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
the
that.
Joe Burrow pick, I had him last year, and I would have been accurate if his team won more than 9 games. Because the numbers he put up are MVP level numbers, and that's why he was a finalist. Offensive player of the year, I'm sorry, it's not going to be Derrick Henry because he just had nearly 2,000 yards this season. And normally when he has that amount of production, that level of just, ground the pound consistently going to him, that next year normally he has a little bit of a dip. So we'll see what he looks like this year. Coach of the year, I don't hate. I'm probably going to go with Ben Johnson just because expectations last year were 5-12.
Where did you pick the Bears?
I had the Bears third in the division.
Third.
Yeah,
and you think he'll win the offensive the coach of the year?
You go 5-12, and then you increase it to maybe 8-9, and you're off. Top tier offense, maybe lackluster defense. I think you'll get some votes because we're not gonna, who's gonna have another 15-2 season or have a strong. I mean, really, it depends on the amount of wins. If they blow him out of the water, maybe my standings.
The only way he gets coach of the year is if they make the playoffs, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Maybe I don't know. My standing prediction could be completely wrong. In that case, if they do, blow expectations out of the water, then maybe Ben Johnson has a shot. I don't think Andy Reid's going to get it. Sean Payton might, depending on how the Broncos look this year. I would not, completely rule that out.
Sean Payton would be certainly a contender if they continue to play the way they started out poor last year, but they've improved all the way through the year, made the playoffs.
Right.
He could have argued that he could have won it last year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think that the coach that I thought maybe should have gotten it last year, I understand why he didn't, but the one that was my pick last year was Dan Campbell. I think that this year, again, it's level of expectation. We were blown away by how great the Vikings were, and I think that added, and also their record obviously spoke for itself. They were 14-3 or something like that. The record spoke for itself, but I think it was just expectations. Sam Darnold, his career, what it was at that point, and then winning 14 games. Like, oh my God, what a tremendous job you gave Kevin O'Connell the record, even though the Lions 15-2, I believe, were better than them and beat them. So it depends on what you're looking at. I think level expectations are Ben Johnson, new team, Caleb Williams, number 1 pick. What are we looking at? Sean Payton's got a year 2 quarterback now. What are they going to look like after having a top tier defense last year? We'll see exactly what happens this year. It's exciting, but we're going to find out at least what week 1 looks like. We're going to make our week 1 predictions and the return of the Harvey Hot Hand. We'll talk about all that right after this break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. It is great to have you in today on a Friday. First Friday in like 4 months. It's great to be back. We're talking NFL football as always. And as always, I'm doing alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is our weekly picks. Every single week throughout the NFL season, we make our picks week by week. And also, we have the Harvey Hot Hand that will come after the show. That's my 5 best point spreads that you should bet on. I decided to take a trip down memory lane, go back 3 years of picking games to show our records, and these are our all-time records year by year by year. You have win-loss, a 61.84% winning percentage.
Not bad.
I have a 66.32% winning percentage. Point spread-wise is a little bit ugly. You're 48.83%. I'm 52.76%. So I'm above 500. You're slightly below 500. We'll see. Lot to do, though. Lot to talk about. We have a long history of picking games, 3 years in the books. But let's jump into it. I got week 1 to start us off, which is, let's begin. So last night, I got the one exactly accurate. Eagles win, Cowboys cover. I thought the 8.5 was a bit much for at least a week 1 game and in division. So I took the Eagles for the win, the Cowboys to obviously cover. But let's begin. The São Paulo game, which is happening in about 35 minutes from now. It'll be Chiefs against the Chargers in Brazil. Chiefs are 3-point favorites, technically on the road, even though it's a neutral field. I'm going to go with the Chiefs here, straight up victory. I think that the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs will stop any sort of running game or minimize it to a point where Justin Herbert will need to be relied upon, or at least in Greg Roman's case, because of the OC, he'll try to keep running the football. The only way the Chargers have a shot, and Justin Herbert has played okay, but has had games where he struggles. The Chargers can never really get over the hump for the Kansas City Chiefs. The only way they have a shot is if they do what Jim Harbaugh, I assume, is planning on doing and maintaining control of the clock, minimizing Patrick Mahomes' possessions, and trying to run the football with Omarion Hampton and maybe a hint of Najee Harris. Omarion Hampton is technically the backup running back, although I think in very short order he will be RB1. So I got the Chiefs winning here regardless. I think Mahomes will do Mahomesian things, even though Rashee Rice will be out at least for the near future, the first, I believe, 6 weeks of the season. I think Travis Kelce, I believe I have him on my fantasy team, or one of them. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be relatively okay. Again, how distracted is he? We'll wait and see. I think that the running game of the Chiefs was never really anything special, but because it's Patrick Mahomes, because it's the Kansas City Chiefs defense with Steve Spagnuolo, I'll take the Chiefs in a decent victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. The next one, this point spread moved 1 point in favor of the Commanders today. It's Giants at Commanders, -6.5 point favorites. I'll take it straight up, both the point spread and the win for the Commanders. The Giants' defensive line, what are they going to do? I don't trust Russell Wilson. I don't trust the running game, which Russ desperately needs in order to be relatively successful. I do not trust the offensive scheme with Russell Wilson under center. And I think that with the Commanders' defense, which was shockingly great, and with Jaden Daniels, with Terry McLaurin, with Deebo Samuel, with, people are going to be crazy about Austin Eckler being an effective running back, and also Zach Ertz, the tight end. I'll take the Commanders straight up in a very nice victory. I want to see exactly what the Giants defense does against Jaden Daniels and see how they could try to hinder him. I don't think they'll do too much on Sunday. I'll take the Commanders -6.5 point favorites over the New York Giants. Next one, Liam Cohen leading Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Carolina Panthers. I will be taking Jacksonville -3.5 point favorites. It's a weird point spread. The obvious one would be, if you think it's a close game, to pick Panthers +3.5 just to get the field goal. If the Jaguars win by 3, you get the cover if you pick Panthers +3.5. But I think that's going to be a slight higher margin of victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars, because what we found out is that Travis Hunter is a backup cornerback, but he's a starting wide receiver. So he'll be out there with Brian Thomas Jr., hopefully tearing it up on offense. Again, I have him on my fantasy team. I'm hoping he does exactly that. But I'm curious to see what the red zone offense of the Jacksonville Jaguars, basically how they transform under Liam Cohen, because the Buccaneers under Dave Canales, while the offense of Baker Mayfield looked good, the red zone defense was sort of bottom of the league and then jumped to, I believe, 4th in the league last year. I want to see what Liam Cohen does with this Jaguars offense. I'm very scared about the running game and the offensive line for the Jaguars. That's my only concern. Bryce Young, we'll see. He improved back end of the year. Once he got benched and came back, he improved. I'm wondering what he looks like. I just don't think there's a tremendous amount of talent on the defensive side to maybe slow down a Brian Thomas and a Travis Hunter. Give me the Jaguars, 3.5 point favorites. I'll take him straight up. The next one, Aaron Rodgers rivalry game, and also Justin Fields rivalry game. It's Steelers at Jets. I'll take Aaron Rodgers with the revenge, with DK Metcalf, with that defense, with that offensive line. I'm taking DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers straight up over the New York Jets in New York. I think Justin Fields, again, the touch. When he was starting for the Steelers, you saw in some of the passes he didn't have the touch. And in the preseason, he didn't look great. This is going to be a run-heavy offense for the Jets. That's sort of what everybody's expecting. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Justin Fields. I think that'll play beautifully into the Steelers. They have a tremendous front seven. I think that they're going to absolutely execute at a high level against this Jets offense. Give me the Steelers straight up. I don't think this is going to be a particularly close game. If they get to Justin Fields, if they pressure him, I think we could possibly see a 2-interception game from Justin Fields. Give me the Steelers in a road victory over the Jets. Next one, Raiders at Patriots. Now, this is going to be a risky one, and I guarantee you this point spread, I didn't check it, but this point spread may move closer to the Raiders side with the news that Christian Gonzalez will be out for this game, and then Will Campbell is questionable. I think that's going to be interesting against the Max Crosby-led defense, but I think the Patriots have Stephon Diggs. They upgraded their offense. Their running back group looks great with Travion Henderson for some reason being running back 3. I don't think that's going to last very long. I think he'll pass Antonio Gibson pretty easily. I think that Ramondre Stevenson, he has a fumble issue. So I think that Henderson will have a massive impact both on special teams and offensively. Give me the Patriots in a victory here. Now, this point spread may drop, and I sort of expect it to with the Christian Gonzalez news coming out. So that'll help me out even more. Give me the Patriots minus 2.5 point favorites, at least on FanDuel by the time I made this graphic. Give me the Patriots in a victory at home against the Las Vegas Raiders, which is ironically a revenge game against Tom Brady, who's a minority owner there. So also just going to point that out. Next one, Cardinals at Saints. Give me the Cardinals straight up here, including the 6.5 point spread on the road. The Saints' offensive line has issues. Trevor Penning is going to be out for this game. Offensively, the Saints really have nothing. The Cardinals upgraded their defensive line. They added Josh Sweat. They drafted Will Johnson. Walter Nolan, when he gets back from the PUP list, I think will make massive impacts for this team. But I think that with Marvin Harrison Jr., with James Conner, with an upgraded offensive line and defensive line and secondary, and also having Kyler Murray, who I don't love, but is he an upgrade over arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL, Spencer Rattler? I'm going to say yes. So give me the Cardinals straight up on the road, minus 6.5 point favorites. Give it to me. Bengals at Browns. Bengals are 5.5 point favorites on the road. Give me the Browns plus 5.5, but the Bengals get the victory. Joe Burrow notoriously starts off slow. This team notoriously starts off slow. I'm going to say this again from a Harvey hot hand, but just to, give you a little bit of an insight. The Bengals, when they're favored in week 1 under Joe Burrow, are 0-3, including a loss against the Patriots and the Cleveland Browns. So give me the Browns to clear. I think really this is going to be who could hold up their quarterback better, who could keep their quarterback clean. Because I think Joe Flacco could still fling it. I really do. And with Jerry Jeudy, the offensive line needs to improve. They absolutely didn't block for nothing for Deshaun Watson last year when he was out there. I think if the offensive line improves slightly or just plays better for Joe Flacco, I think Flacco will sit there, be able to dink and dunk it to David Njoku or Jerry Jeudy, and Myles Garrett, who started off, maybe on the injury list. He's cleared to go. He'll be out there. I want to see what Myles Garrett does against this Bengals offensive line that they've never been able to sort out for Joe Burrow, and I want to see if Burrow has any lick of an offensive line and even a running game, because I don't love Chase Brown. Expectations are 1,400 scrimmage yards. We'll wait and see for that exactly. But yeah, give me the Browns to cover, Bengals to win here in a close one. Next one, Dolphins at Colts. Give me the Colts and Daniel Jones, first game under the Indianapolis Colts organization in a regular season game. Give me him and his first victory over the Miami Dolphins. Their offensive line is basically non-existent for the Dolphins. 4 of their 5 top tacklers are no longer there for the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is one hit from being medically forced to retire. The running game isn't great. I don't think Devon Achane is really that. People love him. He gets picked high in fantasy. I don't think he's all that. I think the offensive line is like I mentioned, non-existent. The skill position players, people like, Darren Waller, who hasn't played in over a year. I think that, what are we doing with that situation? Tyreek Hill, what will he look like? I think that the Colts offensive line is very sizable. They had a top 8 running game last year. Give me the Colts and Daniel Jones to beat the Miami Dolphins and cover the 1.5 point spread. We got another upset here. Bucks at Falcons. I really want to pick the Bucks, and for the longest time, I did have the Bucks beating the Falcons on the road. But Tristan Wirfs is out. How is that going to be? Because Tristan Wirfs had one of the best pass block grades, and also was a massive help to Baker Mayfield. What will that look like against an improved Falcons pass rush? they got some dudes in the draft, high in the first round too. So I really like this Falcons upgraded pass rush. Its potential. I think we'll see what the offense looks like without Chris Godwin. Will Emeka Egbuka really have a massive impact? Will Mike Evans be the red zone threat that people, that he's known for? We'll see. How is Bucky Irving in the running game? I'm curious to see what this Falcons pass rush does, and Michael Penix having his first start of the 2025-26 season. Will Kyle Pitts finally emerge? There's a lot of questions, but give me the Falcons. 1.5 point home underdogs. I'll take that all day. Here's a massive win. Titans at Broncos. Broncos are 8.5 point favorites at home. This point spread moved to 1 point over the last 24 hours. Give me the Broncos at a big victory over the Tennessee Titans. Versing one of the best defenses last year, I think this is a deadly matchup for Tennessee. I think the Broncos defense is going to really disrupt Cam Ward. I think he's going to have a decent game, but I don't think he's going to have much of an impact. I think he'll limit the turnovers, but the offense will be largely ineffective. I think Bo Nix in this offense, if you just flip the one-score games last year, the Broncos are a 15-2 team. I really love this team through and through. I think the addition of Dre Greenlaw and also Hufanga, I think those two players will have a massive impact this season. Pat Surtain, last year's Defensive Player of the Year. I absolutely love this team through and through. The running game should be improved with R.J. Harvey. I absolutely love it. Give me the Broncos at a big victory over the Tennessee Titans. The 49ers at the Seahawks. 49ers 2.5 point favorites on the road in Seattle. Two things. One, Brock Purdy's undefeated at Seattle. That's the first thing. Second thing, quarterback versus quarterback matchup. That's really what I'm focusing on because I think Mike McDonald's defense, I think, is very, very good. To me, it's Sam Darnold versus Brock Purdy. Who would you rather have? I think anybody, with a couple brain cells would probably take Brock Purdy over Sam Darnold. I think that's really where it show. I know people are complaining, Christian McCaffrey didn't practice it. He expects to play. Now, the impact we'll see. But as it currently stands, CMC is expected to play here. So give me CMC, give me Trent Williams, give me this team, George Kittle, everybody. I know Brandon Ayuk's out, but again, he was in trade rumors already just after signing a massive deal. So who knows what's going to happen with him throughout the year. But I trust Brock Purdy more than I trust Sam Darnold. Give me the 49ers in a field goal victory over the Seattle Seahawks. Next one, Green Bay Packers, minus 2.5 point favorites at home against the Detroit Lions. I'm wondering what Micah Parsons' immediate impact will be. How will the Packers suffice without probably their best run stopper in Kenny Clark? That's what I'm wondering. I'm trusting Jordan Love, this young team, to excel against maybe a depleted secondary with brand new offensive coordinator and a brand new defensive coordinator. What will this Lions team do with this much amount of newness, I would say? But the offensive line for the Packers is great. Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Jordan Love should look fine. I'll take the Packers in a narrow division rival victory over the Detroit Lions. Hey, I'm the Lions guy here. I've been a Lions guy for 3 years now, 2 years. So I'm going against a team that I've rooted for a very, very long time. I had them in the Super Bowl last year. I was that close. A couple years ago, excuse me. I was that close. But I have to pick against them in this one. The offensive line losing a couple of guys in tier Rag now, and I'm forgetting somebody else. Week one against a potential Micah Parsons pass rush. I don't love it for the Lions. Let's go to the next one. Houston Texans at the Rams, minus 3 point favorites. Give me the Rams here. I understand the pass rush. You're going to probably talk about it was a top 3 or 4 pass rush last year. I think that Matt Stafford, because of a potential lingering issue, he'll try to get the ball out fast. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Tyler Higbee. I think, Devontae Adams and also Puka Nacua. This is a decent offense. And also having defensive rookie of the year on your defense, that's going to be massive. Against CJ Stroud without Tank Dell, without Stephon Diggs, who's currently on the Patriots. What will this team look like? Nico Collins is back, but Joe Mixon's not playing. Nick Chubb, what will he be like? Is he washed? Who knows? I think that the Rams are a very good team. Your coach of the year pick, I think, will come out big here, and he will supplement an offense that doesn't have Matt Stafford just patting the ball back there and potentially getting killed by Will Anderson. I'm just, hinting at that, or Daniil Hunter. I just hope that Matt Stafford gets the ball out quick, fast. This team nearly beat the Eagles in the playoffs. They nearly beat the Super Bowl champions in the playoffs. They were that close. If it wasn't for a Jalen Carter sack on Matt Stafford, we could potentially be seeing a Rams second Super Bowl. Matt Stafford lifting up his second Lombardi last year. Maybe. So give me the Rams, minus 3 point favorites. I'll take them at home. Next one, Ravens at Bills. I had this weird feeling. I get it, Bills, and you have the MVP. Your home underdogs. It's weird. It's really weird. I don't trust the Bills defense to hold up against a fresh, because when they played Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, that was a whole season, and then they were in the playoffs playing them again. Do we remember what the first matchup, relatively early in the season, about midway through the season, what the matchup was? Instantly, Derrick Henry, touchdown. They couldn't stop the Ravens' offense at all. Week 1, fresh matchup, playoff rivalry. We could have had if Mark Andrews didn't drop it, we could potentially be seeing the Ravens going up against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I think this is a revenge game for them. Give me the Ravens, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Give me the Ravens in a 1.5 point spread. I'll take them in a road victory over the Buffalo Bills and the 2024 MVP Josh Allen. This defense, I don't know if it could hold up this early in the season with the offense that the Ravens has. All right, finally, Vikings at Bears. J.J. McCarthy's first ever NFL regular season start after he got hurt last year. Give me the new and improved Chicago Bears in a victory on Monday Night Football with Ben Johnson, with a brand new OC, brand new deal. Like, give me the Chicago Bears through and through. Colson Loveland, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift with the same left and right tackles, which I don't love. Braxton Jones, I still think there's a massive question about him, but Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, interior offensive line. That's where DeAndre Swift's going to excel. Absolutely. The interior runs absolutely blew last year for the Chicago Bears. You upgraded those 3 positions with top 3 guys. Give me the Chicago Bears in a massive game from Caleb Williams. I mean, he has a plethora of weapons, and DeAndre Swift, I think, will have a resurgence year from having career lows last year. Give me the proverbial upset. I don't know why the Bears are 1.5 point underdogs at home against the Vikings when they have a rookie quarterback. I think if the offensive line could just hold, for instance, if Caleb Williams has half the sacks he had last year, do we expect him to have a few more wins this year? I'm going to say yes. So give me the Bears in an upset victory on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. And those are my week 1 picks. Let's start the year off hot. I'm already 1-0 in both circumstances, point spread and win-loss, off to a hot start.
You're on a roll.
I'm off to a hot start.
Yeah. Well, I like some of your picks. Some of them I'm not so sure about, but we differ in quite a few games here, I think. So let's put mine up here. Okay, so last night I won, but I missed on the point spread. The Cowboys are better than I thought. I may change my mind about them in some of their future games because they were very competitive against arguably the best team in the NFL last night. So we'll have to see how they do down the road. Okay, we already talked about Kansas City and the Chargers. I picked the Chiefs. I think that Mahomes will be too much for the Chargers, and I think this year he had kind of a weird year last year. It really was. His stats weren't that great. He managed to get him on, his 3rd down completion and 4th down completion and success rate was very good, but made a lot of mistakes, and I think he thought a lot about that in the offseason. I think he's going to be better this year, and I think he'll be too much for the Chargers. The Giants and the Commanders. The Giants play the Commanders well generally. Generally, these games are very close, and so I'm a little surprised by the 5.5, now 6.5 point spread there favoring the Commanders. But I do think they will. They'll win, the Commanders, and cover. I think the Giants improved their offense, which was terrible last year, with arguably a better quarterback in Russell Wilson. But I think we both agree that he's past his prime and now a journeyman quarterback. And the Giants have the toughest schedule in the league. I'm not sure Russell will be in there much. If he makes it through half the year before we start seeing Jackson Dart, I'll be a little surprised. The Commanders have Jaden Daniels, and he'll be too much for the Giants. I think he's the difference maker in this game. He's the best young talent at quarterback in the NFL. Makes everyone around him better. The Giants' defense is strong up front and should have a good pass rush, and have the rookie Abdul Carter will be in there. I'll be interested to see how he plays. However, I think even though they got a good pass rush, Daniels is very elusive, and he'll be too much for the Giants, who have the toughest schedule, as I mentioned, the toughest schedule in the NFL. So I have the Washington covering and winning the game. The next game, the Panthers at the Jaguars. I have the Jaguars covering this one, winning by more than 3.5 points. You can't win by half a point, right? So it's kind of an odd point spread. But I think it's going to be very close. I could be wrong on this one. I think Bryce Young performed very well down the stretch for the Panthers last year and gave the offense a spark. Trevor Lawrence has to live up to that contract, huge contract, and play well for the Jags to win. He has a new weapon in Travis Hunter, who's going to be a starting wide receiver and a backup cornerback, and has a great receiver in Brian Thomas, who played extremely well last year. I think the Jaguars pull it out because they're at home, and the Panthers' defense, which was the worst in the league last year, has many new players, and they're unproven. So I think, I really think that's the difference in this game is the Panthers' defense really not being up to the task just yet. Next game, the Jets and the Steelers. I agree with you. It's payback time for Aaron Rodgers, a revenge game for him. He's going to be pumped up to beat the team that basically humiliated him for 2 seasons. Both teams have good defenses, but the Steelers are stronger there. I think the Steelers picking up DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, that's really good. Those guys are going to help a lot. The Jets drafted Amon Mambu for their offensive line. That's great, but I think in the offseason, the Steelers beat him out there. I think Mike Tomlin, the better head coach here over first-year coach Aaron Glenn. I like the Steelers to win and cover. Moving on, Raiders at Patriots. The Patriots being my team, I'm picking them to win and cover. The win for the Patriots, I think, depends on how Drake May plays. Really, he has almost a completely new offense around him. The 4 new offensive line starters. That's a good thing, I think, given how poor their offensive line's been for several years. 4 new receivers and a new running back. May he can't turn the ball over so much like he did last year with fumbles and interceptions. The Raiders won't be easy to beat, I think, with Geno Smith at quarterback and the rookie Ashton Genty at running back, who I have being the rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year this year. And Pete Carroll as a new head coach, I think that was a good choice for them. He's a lot of experience and has won a Super Bowl. It'd be better than the parade of coaches that the Raiders have had over the past 7 or 8 years. So I like that. The Raiders have never beat the Patriots at Gillette Stadium. They're 0-3. Former Raiders playing for the Patriots: Thaler Mumford, Mac Hollins, Austin Hooper, Robert Spillane, and Kevon Chasen. They're now playing for the Pats. That gives the Pats, I think, an advantage, although probably Pete Carroll has a brand new defense and brand new offensive scheme, so that may not be much of an advantage. But those guys are certainly going to want to beat their former team. So I got the Patriots winning that game. Cardinals versus the Saints. I agree with you. The Cardinals straight up covering the 6.5 point spread. I think the Saints are going to be horrible this year. I think the difference here is Kyler Murray. He's a much better quarterback than Spencer Rattler, who was 0-6 in 2025 in the games he played. The Cardinals have a stronger defense, signing Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Calais Campbell, and drafting Jordan Birch, which will be too much for the Saints and Rattler. The Murray to Harrison connection has a chance to shine here against the Saints defense. I think the Cardinals will beat them relatively easily. Moving on to the Bengals versus the Browns. I disagree with you here. I think the Bengals win and cover. I think they've learned their lesson playing starters in the preseason, so they won't be too rusty to start slowly like they have the past 3 seasons, being horrible in the first 3 games every season, the last 3, even losing to the Patriots last year. It's really very surprising. And Joe Burrow looking like a shadow of himself in that first game, and then going on to really be, I think, the best quarterback in the NFL in the second half of the season. Trey Hendrickson is signed. Thank God for the Bengals. They really needed that because they need him to help shore up that weak Bengals defense. The Browns defense is actually, I think, stronger than the Bengals with Myles Garrett, but the Browns offense pales in comparison with the Bengals, who have Joe Burrow, My pick for MVP, as we just went over, Jamar Chase will be runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year, and T. Higgins, all signed a big contracts, going to be there for several years, going to be very excited to get out there and get it going on Sunday. The Browns are counting on 40-year-old Joe Flacco for wins, which I don't think is going to happen. Moving on here now to the Dolphins-Colts. I think the Colts almost made the playoffs last year with Anthony Richardson as their quarterback. And now they have Daniel Jones. He's not elite by any stretch of the imagination, but he gives the Colts a better chance than Richardson. And he's going to be a game manager, I think. They count on him to play like he did with the Giants in the year where Saquon Barkley was a big advantage for the Giants. The Colts have Jonathan Taylor, who stacks up similarly, and who is, I think, an elite running back and will take some of the pressure and load off of Jones. Jones can run the ball, too, and I think he'll do that some. I don't think they're going to emphasize the pass. I think they're going to try to ground and pound it against the Dolphins, and we'll have some success because I don't think the Dolphins have a very good defense. I think it'll be a close game, though, for the Colts to win. They've got to slow down Tua and the Dolphins' passing game, which can be one of the better ones in the league. The Bucs and the Falcons, I differ with you on this. I got the Bucs winning. One thing you never mentioned, Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to be the difference maker in this game. If he plays well, the Bucs win. I think Penix is a question mark, even though he started 3 games last year. The Bucs have the better offensive line, although, as you mentioned, who's the guy? What's his name? Wirtz is not going to be playing. And they have the best wide receiver on the field in Mike Evans. The Falcons improved their pass rush by adding Leonard Floyd, but they are still a developing group, and it will be close as over the past 2 years. All 4 games have been decided by 1 score, and last year the Falcons beat the Bucs twice, and I don't think the Bucs are going to let that happen again. I think they got a sour taste in their mouth from it, and I'm counting on Baker Mayfield to have a great game. Okay, the Titans versus the Broncos. I agree with you. This is the Titans don't have a chance in this game. The Broncos' elite defense and offensive continuity under the rising star Bo Nix will be way too much for the Titans. Denver's defense led the league in sacks and was among the best in points allowed and yards allowed last season. The Titans are starting Cam Ward, a rookie, a quarterback who will be facing one of the best defenses in the league. Broncos also have the better head coach in Sean Payton. So I think that one's a prohibitive favorite for the Broncos. 49ers at Seahawks, I agree with you. The 49ers find a way to win, although I'm not so confident. The 49ers not a very good team last year. I like them basically because their offensive firepower, Proddy, McCaffrey, Ayuk is not in there yet, but Olave and Pearsall, and the experience, the offensive line's experience, I think is a factor as well. I think it will be too much for the really a good Seahawks defense, which will need to force turnovers to have a chance to win. Question mark is whether what Darnold we're going to get, whether he'll be the Viking Darnold or the Jets Darnold. And I think we're both feeling like last year might have been a little bit of an anomaly, and he may come back to earth a little bit. We'll see. Moving on to the Lions and the Packers, I disagree with you on this one. I got the Lions winning this game, mainly because Jordan Love is terrible in the beginning of the seasons generally. The last 2 years, he started so slowly. Micah Parkinson, that's great addition, but he didn't play a snap in the preseason. He's going to need a painkiller shot to play. I think although the Lions lost both of their coordinators, they still have one of the best teams in the NFL, but maybe the best running game in the NFL, a potent passing attack, and an excellent quarterback in Jared Goff, who's going to have a very good game in order for the Lions to win this game. The Packers were 1-5 last year in the division and 0-5 against the spread. So I don't think the Packers are going to win this game, even though they're at home. Texans versus the Rams. I'm picking the Rams. It's both teams, made the playoffs last year, won a playoff game last year. The Rams almost beat the Eagles in the divisional game. I think this is an intriguing matchup, which I like the Rams coming out on top, mainly because they are playing at home. They need Matthew Stafford to play well to win, and he's somewhat of a question mark on not playing at all in the preseason because of a back injury. Both teams have strong defenses with star players, Will Anderson for the Texans, Javon Curse for the Rams. I think it will come down to which quarterback plays better, and I have my money on Stafford at home. And finally, the Ravens versus the Bills. I agree with you. The Ravens they don't view this game. I said the Ravens players have expressed that this game is far from a normal season opener, and they are motivated to win at Buffalo. And I can see why, given the way they lost last year in the playoffs, the 27. What was the final score of that game? It was a very close game. They had a chance to win it, to tie it with a 2-point conversion, and couldn't do it. The Bills beat the Ravens last year in the 27-25 in that playoff game, which the fumble by Mark Andrews was a killer for them. The Ravens, then scored, but they couldn't make that 2-point conversion. I expect another very close game where a turnover may decide the outcome. Both teams have great quarterbacks and running backs, and as I said, the Ravens players are motivated for this game. I think they'll find a way to win that game on the road. And then on Monday night, Vikings versus Bears. I disagree with you on this one as well. I've got the Vikings winning. There's lots of pressure on J.J. McCarthy, but I think he'll be able to handle it. The Vikings defense is better than the Bears. The offensive talent is better too, with the exception of quarterback. Johnson's a rookie head coach. This is his first game out. The Bears brought a lot of new players in, especially on offense, and that's going to take a little time to gel, I think. The Vikings have won the last 8 meetings against the Bears, and I think they'll win again. And those are my picks. Nate?
I think you're underestimating just the impact of the Bucs offensive line. Falcons have an upgraded defensive line and a pass rush. They were 30th in the league. They were one of the worst quarterback pressure rates. And what they do, got to get pass rusher.
Well,
so,
Baker Mayfield is a very mobile quarterback and a difference maker. You didn't mention him.
Yes, I did. I said you got to be careful Tristan Wirfs ain't out there. Baker Mayfield, when he's clean, was one of the best quarterbacks. It's just without Tristan Wirfs against an upgraded pass rush, I don't think he'll be that clean.
Well, we'll see.
Indeed, we will. All right, it's time. My favorite topic, the Harvey Hot Hand. For those who don't know what the Harvey Hot Hand is, it is basically where I pick the 5 teams that you should bet on every single week throughout the NFL season. There's only 5 teams, only 5 bets that I do. When we started doing it for the show, at the end of the 2023-24 season, 61.1%. Last year, after some crazy parity, I dropped to 53.1%. However, totally, 56.98%. And I'll also add on the fact that most sports books, in order to make a profit, you need about 52%. So I'm still making a profit for every single person out there. But it's time for the Harvey Odd End, week 1 of the 2025-26 NFL season. What we're starting with may surprise people, but let's get into it.
Cardinals at Saints.
Give me the Cardinals over here, minus 6.5-point favorites. I think that this pass rush is going to go up against a poor Saints offensive line. The Saints also have probably the worst quarterback in this season so far, Spencer Rattler, who did not have a great year last year. I think with the weapons of James Conner, Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., that's going to be a very difficult task for a Saints secondary to deal with. I'll also add on the fact that Calais Campbell being out there, Will Johnson, their draft pick, I think, and also Josh Sweat on the defensive line. The Cardinals made a lot of great moves in the offseason. I'm not saying the Cardinals are a great team, but I do think going up against a pitiful Saints team, give me the Cardinals, 6.5-point favorites over the New Orleans Saints. I have them winning 27-14. Next one.
Buccaneers at Falcons.
Give me this one. Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. Give me the Falcons, 1.5-point underdogs at home. Similar thing here. I think that the upgraded pass rush that the Falcons have, after being god-awful, even though they had Matt Judon, being awful pass rush, they were bottom 3 in the league. I think that they went out here, they drafted a bunch of really good defensive pass rushers, defensive prospects in this offseason against the Buccaneers team that is losing that's already lost its wide receiver 2, that lost its top-tier offensive lineman, and Baker Mayfield really needs to be clean. That's where he really excels in a clean pocket. I think the Falcons will get to the backfield. I think they'll disrupt Baker Mayfield. And also, is this Kyle Pitts' year? I'm going to say no, or probably not, just because I don't trust him. I had him last year on my fantasy team, and he screwed me. But I do think that Michael Penix will be effective with Bijan Robinson in the backfield, with Drake May also out wide. I think the Falcons will get a nice division victory here. They're home underdogs. I'll take them 23-20 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next one.
Bengals at Browns.
This one, I got to go with it. It's a crazy pick, but in Joe Burrow's history, when he's favored in week 1, it doesn't matter if it's the Patriots led by Jacoby Brissett or if it's a pitiful Browns team, he's 0-3 as a week 1 favorite. I'll take the Bengals win, but the Browns do cover. The Browns' offensive line will need to be better to hold up a 40-year-old Joe Flacco. But also, the Bengals' offensive line, they've never figured it out for Joe Burrow. They just haven't. The defense of the Bengals, that will be the X factor in my opinion here. How will they do against the Cleveland Browns? I think that if you can get a decent running game, Joe Flacco flicks the ball all around. I think this could be a relatively dangerous game for Cincinnati that they desperately need. But I'll reiterate, history shows Joe Burrow as a favorite in week 1. He loses every single time. He's 0-3. Give me the Bengals in a 24-21 victory, but the Cleveland Browns do cover the 5.5-point spread. Number 4.
Titans at Broncos.
It's a big one. We're starting off hot for week 1 in the Harvey hot hand. Give me the Denver Broncos 8.5-point favorites. Give me them to cover against the Tennessee Titans. Rookie quarterback going up against a top 2, top 3 defense last year. I think it's a very, very risky formula for Tennessee. They just don't have enough offensive pieces to really make this game relatively close. If you flip all one-score games last year for the Denver Broncos, they have a 15-2 record. Now with another year with Sean Payton, with hopefully an upgraded running game, with an upgraded tight end group with Evan Ingram now coming over onto this team, I think you'll have a phenomenal impact offensively. And then with the Defensive Player of the Year and a relatively consistent defense, give me the Broncos in a 28-17 victory over the Tennessee Titans. They cover that 8.5-point spread. And the last pick for the Harvey Hot Hand of week 1 is
49ers at Seahawks.
Give me the 49ers. Now this point spread moved to 1.5. I just checked on FanDuel. I bet it for 1.5, but when I made this graphic, it was 2.5. So this is a minus 1.5-point favorites for the San Francisco 49ers, and I'll take it straight up. For me, this is a quarterback battle. Christian McCaffrey, he didn't practice today, he didn't practice yesterday, but he is expected to play on Sunday. So give me Christian McCaffrey and this offense. I think it's about quarterback matchups, really. Who do I trust more? Do I trust Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold? I trust Brock Purdy more. Just going to put that out there. And I think if it comes down to it, and also at Seattle, Brock Purdy's undefeated. So give me Brock Purdy. I really don't care, with the Seahawks defense has all these players. Well, I think that if you go down to it, whenever you need a real big-time moment, what quarterback do you trust more? I'll take Brock Purdy. It's a revenge year for him. He played terrible last year. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. If they want to come back out on top and start making another Super Bowl run, it has to start here in week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks. Give me Robert Saleh, also the DC. I think that's going to be a huge, huge plus for them this year. Give me the 49ers, minus 2.5-point favorites, now minus 1.5 that I bet. Give me them to cover the point spread and win 27-23. And those are my week 1 picks from a Harvey Hot Hand. If you use the link down below, $10, or if you purchase something on Dr. Squatch, use the link down below, $10 purchase or more, you get 3 free limited time bricks. So make sure you take that offer. It's linked down below. You get $10 purchase, you get 3 free bricks for you. Those are my picks for week 1.
Interesting. I was surprised you didn't take the Commanders over the Giants.
That's way too risky. Way too risky.
More risky than the Bucks Falcons game.
You're telling me you think Washington? First of all, you have the Giants covering the 6.5. So I wouldn't pick the Commanders to cover 6.5. I don't know why you're telling me.
I just think the Giants play the Commanders well, but I don't think they're going to win.
Right, but this is not about win-loss. This is about point spread coverage.
Yeah,
so we differ on that. I have the Commanders covering. There's no way I'm going to pick them to cover. I'll take the L on the record, but not the L when I'm actually betting money over here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think the Bengals, Browns. I think the Bengals have learned their lesson.
You could have said that last year when they versed the Patriots. The year before that too.
Yeah.
They already lost against the Cleveland Browns. In 2023, Week 1.
Not going to happen this time. And
That's what you think.
Say that they're not going to. You think the Bengals are going to win?
I think they're going to win.
Yeah, but you don't.
I don't think they're going to cover.
Well,
they're 0-3, both in point spread coverage and also win-loss in Week 1 when they're a favorite.
Okay, well, it's going to be fun to watch.
Indeed, it is. All right, for this episode of the Harvey Hour, that wraps it up. We thank you so much for the constant support. The game is underway as of right now. It's 8:04. The game is getting ready. I think it's a 15-minute delay after the initial time. So, Chiefs, Chargers here on YouTube. Go watch it now. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We will catch you Tuesday to recap all of these games. We'll be right here, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a